please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome to This Week at X. Today we're going to start with Ben Shapiro, who on his show, on the Daily Wire, The Ben Shapiro Show, made a comment that was doing its rounds on Twitter. The comment concerned retirement age, and politicians. Now, I did see what he said and had my own thoughts on it, because he had a point at the start of what he says, and then he swerved into a different point. I'll read some tweets that are relevant first though. Jason Campbell tweeted the video out by saying, Ben Shapiro, quote, "No one in the US should be retiring at 65. Frankly, I think retirement itself is a stupid idea unless you have some sort of health problem." Retweeted by The Quartering. "If the argument is Social Security is theft and a Ponzi scheme, okay, we agree, make that argument." Two multi-millionaires, Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh, railing against what most people in this country view as essential income in their old age is not it. Optics, my friend. Perhaps some context would be vital now.
And let's be real about this. It's insane that we haven't raised the retirement age in the United States. It's totally crazy. Joe Biden, if that were the case, Joe Biden should not be running for president. Hey, Joe Biden is 81 years old. The retirement age in the United States, at which you start to receive Social Security and you are eligible for Medicare, is 65. Joe Biden has technically been eligible for Social Security and Medicare for 16 years, and he wants to continue in office until he is 86, which is 19 years past when he would be eligible for retirement.
In that part, he was speaking about Biden. And if you're going to talk about retirement and politicians and retirement ages, there is a lot of merit to that. Serving in high office comes with a risk, and I do firmly believe that not only should there be term limits in my country as well, when it comes to someone serving as a prime minister, I firmly believe also in an age limit. Once you reach what is dubbed the retirement age, I firmly believe you shouldn't be there anymore. Your brain functions do deteriorate, and we have seen that enough under one particular president. You can add a second if you like, if you want to include Russia as well. The level of deterioration is quite frankly alarming. Make all the excuses you like, a retirement age should be applicable across the board, and term limits too. But this is where what The Quartering has said is not what was initially said. So here is the next bit that is relevant.
No one in the United States should be retiring at 65 years old. Frankly, I think retirement itself is a stupid idea unless you have some sort of health problem. Everybody that I know who is elderly, who has retired, is dead within 5 years. And if you talk to people who are elderly and they lose their purpose in life by losing their job and they stop working, things go to hell in a handbasket real quick.
Ben Shapiro retweeted Media Matters, who tweeted out that clip by saying, "Yes, if you are mentally and physically healthy, taxpayers should not pay you to retire at 65. When Social Security was created, life expectancy was 64, today it's 78. Also, people require purpose. If you can retire and find purpose, go for it. For many, that's a bad idea." Muta retweeted Ben Shapiro by saying, "You're literally collecting the money you put in, dumbass. I personally wouldn't retire since I enjoy working, but when you get to an old age, it's time to relax and spend the remaining years you worked for with your family." In this, I agree with Muta. I love working, I really do, and I doubt I'll ever retire, because I like being active, it's my mentality. But there are many within my own family who would rather retire, if they can. And if you can, go for it. Do what makes you happy. As long as you are not a burden on society, that's fine. We all pay into a system in this country, so we get a state pension. Granted, the average age goes up. It's why in my country we have retirement ages going up as well with life expectancy. It's why many people have been complaining about it. It gets quite complicated, of course, with certain generations, older generations especially, having to now find out they're going to be working a little longer. It is dubbed unfair by quite a few, and there is a point there, of course there is. Places you work for, you pay into a pension scheme as well, and if you are capable, you save up. There aren't many that really have that opportunity to make as much money as possible to be able to walk away whenever they choose to. So if you're paying into a social security system or into a state pension system, you've earned it, as far as I'm concerned. Essentially, I do not agree with Ben Shapiro's take on this. I firmly believe if you are entitled to retire, you should retire. Although, since your retirement age apparently is still 65 and life expectancy is 78, you might want to move the retirement age up a little. It's what we've done in our country to account for that. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to quickly provide an update on a subject we have covered this week. Keffels. I did a rather lengthy response video to an entire video they had posted to their channel they then made private. I managed to get the video from Chris the Narc the Nazi. Well, it turns out they re-uploaded the video with an additional 12 minutes worth of content, which really irritated me. The video though was not up that long. In fact, as an update, all their content from Keffels and Keffels Live is gone. Privated or deleted, I don't really care at this point. I just thought I'd highlight this because it is a thing and I didn't want to make an entire video on it. But it does fall handily in line with the tactics of the individual known as Keffels, who will, when they get enough blowback, just delete private head in sand, fingers in ears and ignore the world until enough things have passed, time that is, then they resurface to recycle the cycle, and we end up with another controversy in the not so distant future. Oh, and because he's a good little simp, Tipster on Discord have posted an update that has also done its rounds to the Twitters. There's an amusing little bit at the bottom we'll get to, where he says, I want to take a moment to post some tips on things to look out for that are banned topics moving forward in my chat. 1. Topics of lolicon, shotter, or CP. The topic of paedophilia. The Vosh folder incident out of context clips drama or the defense of Vosh by myself or Keffels. False allegations of myself, Vosh, Keffels being a lolicon, shottercon, PDF, or groomer. Mentions of commentary community creators that are clearly meant to derail the stream, promote their content, or appear to be part of a hate harassment campaign. If you see any mentions of the above topics in the Discord, please delete their chat. Do not disclose publicly these topics are banned. I can see this went down really well for you, Tippy. Oh, how the never mighty have fallen. Go back to sipping on boomer juice and holding middle of the road positions, and then rage pigging because it's funny. As a complete segue, let's just insert a swerve in the form of PlayStation. Now, I'm sure many people have played on PS1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe even the 5. The one thing I've noticed is that obviously 1 and 2 were corded controllers, 3 had the option of wireless, which was great, and they lasted forever. 4, wireless, didn't last as long, but very good control. From what I've heard about the 5, the battery life on it is beyond shocking. They really need to take a page out of like Kindles, don't they? Muta, I piss the days of PS3 battery life could keep that charged for weeks. I too piss the days of PS3 battery life. Reply, you think the controller is bad, remember how beautiful and ad-free the dashboard was. Yes, and I hate that you have to get like PS Plus or whatever it is to avoid some of that nonsense, that drivel. Stop cluttering up my home screen. And I know, PC Master Race, console peasants. Shut up. A lot of you that say that have a Switch and you know I'm right. So Austin St. John, the OG Red Power Ranger, was trending on Twitter. The reason why is because he is dropping a new clothing line that features quotes from warriors on all sides of history. Included in this is a certain man called Adolf. Quote, that name on the screen was a demon on steroids, but he had some pretty good one-liners. Jeez. Oh, I'm not going to deny the temptation to buy that and then give it to people just randomly is there. I won't deny. There is a quote, in fact, of this, a video even of him talking about this from Tuned In. So I thought I'd play that now.
So I have some Ranger-oriented clothes, and then I'm building a warrior line where I will go back in history, from pre-Greek days, as far back as I can. I'm going to have famous quotes from warriors of all ilks, including the terrible ones. Wow. Hitler was, a demon on steroids, but he had some pretty good one-liners.
I don't think any further explanation needs to exist why the OG Green Ranger is more popular than him. So next, Hannah Barron was trending on Twitter. Hannah Barron I've followed for years on Instagram. On my personal account, I follow a lot of people who do various forms of fishing, and the one that she does is called noodling, which is not something we do over here in the UK. So I didn't know it was a thing, and I've never had catfish, so I'd never heard of this. She was trending on Twitter, even though she doesn't have a Twitter, something she points out in an update video, which we might show a clip of. She was trending because of a few people who are posting baity tweets using videos of her to talk down at those who are tomboyish, who do things that are regarded masculine, or have a southern drawl for an accent. Hannah Barron is from Alabama. Hannah Barron is a hands-on individual and has been raised as such. So I first saw this because of Samira Khan, who said this accent needs to be illegal and women should be banned from doing manual labor like this. There is nothing feminine about American women. American women are literally men. It's a bait tweet, which is something I said in my retweet. It's clearly bait, and everyone agreed with me actually. Someone else has said that any man that finds tomboys attractive is gay. Readers added context, tomboys are women with masculine traits. I don't think Hannah falls under tomboy, to be honest. Being hands-on does not make you a tomboy. Hannah found out about all of this because not on Twitter, and did post an update to Instagram and TikTok, and basically said, I'm just me. Simple as that really. Can't fault her for saying that. While we're in this ballpark of women doing things for themselves, Lauren Witzke, as your silver-haired Maverick pilots retire, meet his new replacement, ... Readers added context, this pilot is doing nothing wrong in this clip. In the clip, the pilot is flying. That's all they're doing. You can see it on the screen while I'm talking. The Quartering had retweeted this by saying, my wife is a pilot. She put in the required work and dominated. She never got a break or reduced requirements. Imagine posting this video as an own. She seems to be doing everything right. Are you mad because it's a black female and you assume she got pushed through? That might be where this person has latched on. That might be. I hope it's not, because that would be really, well, crappy to be honest. And it certainly denigrates the accomplishments of those in those positions. When it comes to positions like piloting, yeah, no, they're not going to cut corners or lower the standards. The risk is far too high. So Aiden Ross, KSI, Dean the Great, Keemstar, all at some point over the past week trending on Twitter. The reason why is because Aiden Ross is being sued by Misfits for having Dean the Great fight on his brand Risk boxing card. Dean the Great was signed to a deal with Misfits. People are blaming Aiden Ross for this, but actually it was Dean the Great's fault because he was signed to a deal with Misfits and he didn't point out to Aiden Ross that that deal was an exclusive deal for multiple fights. Keemstar had made a video on his Twitter explaining the situation, and I'll play a relevant passage now.
I am making this video to the public, obviously, but also to Aiden Ross and to KSI. Because I'm looking at this situation where his family's getting doxxed and harassed, his management's getting doxxed and harassed, all these horrible things are happening, Aiden's getting potentially sued, all right, and now potential criminal charges with the no commission stuff. I'm looking at this mess and I'm like, why is this happening? Because it's not Aiden Ross's fault. It's not. Aiden Ross was lied to and told that Dean the Great wasn't in any contract with Misfits, and then after it gets announced, then Dean's like, oh yeah, I guess I am in a multi-fight deal. Oh yeah.
Dean the Great replied to this by saying sparring isn't breach of contract. This either being a reference to Ryan Garcia offering him $1 million for surviving 8 rounds of sparring with him, or $150k if he wins 1 round of sparring, or the fact that he was meant to fight, is it Adam Salah, and that apparently being sparring, which made no sense to me. Apparently though in this, Dean the Great's loyalty was to Fusi, as Chris the Nazi pointed out, to a manic depressive who blew through his money and swatted himself live for everyone to see. Great company, and I agree here Misfits should fire him. KSI mocked Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross had basically said, I mean bro, I don't care personally, I'm still doing it, but you can try and sue me and Eddie, ISTG, I don't know what any of these acronyms mean. March 16th, Dean vs Adam, it's happening. Well, it's not. Apparently it's happening on the 17th. How exciting. When Keemstar again pointed out this discrepancy, Dean the Great resorted to what many do when they don't like what Keemstar has to say and simply drag a clip from his past up to the present and say, this is you clown, you know, like the N-word. Keemstar's used that a few times over the years, that kind of stuff basically. My view on this is, if you are tied legally to a boxing promotion to a multi-fight deal, you cannot sign to fight on another promotional card. Doing so is a breach of contract, and you've made a lot of money fighting on the Misfits cards, and you kept winning, which means your money was going up. So was your stock. Your loyalty should have been to the promotion, who would have continued to push you to main event status. It is very disrespectful what Dean the Great has done, and it almost looks like Aiden Ross has been thrown under the bus, but actually that's not what happened either. Dean the Great just lied.